I think there's some value to a community, wherever it is and whatever it is, to have a significant and obvious and noticeable space dedicated to the arts.
Well, it was Sally Kroll, of course, and Jane Kling Luton, who is now deceased. And I just think we sort of got together. We were good friends. And we just decided to start this cooperative thing of using art and theater and dance and music.
It was all very, when you say organic, it was definitely organic. Yeah. I mean, although I had the foundation, you know, for being a teacher, I'd always taught and I'd always performed. Obviously, it was because of my child and then the people around me who had similar interests. And I started with a ladies' dance club, group and babysitting group for children.
Right. That's great.
And it started at I used St. Mark's Studio to begin with. And then I also used Friendship House. And then as it started to develop, I met Mariana Gasteyer and Jean Luton. And Jean was primarily interested in theater, and Mariana was a visual artist.
Well, I guess I have to get her out of here.
The acrobatics with Steve Johnson and the music with Cora Lee.
Capitol Hill at the time wasn't nearly as gentrified or as safe as most people feel it is now.
Those were tough times, but we tried to be very careful and look out for each other. It was too important to us. We didn't want to stop.
Realtors would refer to fast-moving blocks, you know, but we always said you move fast from your car to your door. You know?
That is the neighborhood. The neighborhood was funky because it was diverse, because it was eclectic, because it was energetic, it was alive, because there were a lot of young people around at that time.
In the shadow of the Capitol and all these government buildings.
It was kind of sleepy, but it was, it was beautiful.
It's a much larger community than it was back in 1975.
The brothel on 8th Street is now closed.
We couldn't get 7-Eleven to go in there.
I loved growing up here. It was very fun. There were lots of kids our age. You could walk around.
There were at one point 3 places on 8th Street where you could get cat litter.
They worked long hours and nobody got paid anything, but we just had so much fun. And we were family. We knew everybody in this neighborhood.
It's still very diverse. I remember going to Lincoln Park the other day, seeing a homeless man walk with his cart of stuff, a jogger, a small family of like toddlers and stuff, and a person walking their dog. And they're like all a clash of different people, and they just happen to be around the same place. It's still very diverse.
It was me, myself, and I to begin with. I mean, I went from church to church with my little portable record player at the time.
Eager.
My teaching with CHAW was mostly in the church basement of that church on Independence and 4th.
Like Guys and Dolls.
Creative.
King and I.
The Guys and Dolls.
South Pacific.
I would choreograph for all the children, and Sally would choreograph for the adults, and Ray would do would do set design, and Cora Lee do all the drama work and rehearsals for that, because we used all those different ages, and they all worked together in the performance.
Diverse.
They were being exposed to drama, but it was also multiracial.
Right.
And it was multiracial in a very positive way.
Right.
So that my kids were very comfortable with kids of other ethnicities.
Older.
This funky hippie feeling to it. You weren't always sure the lights would stay on.
My teaching experience definitely has played a role in my own art. Sometimes I do a lot of performance art and video. And so some of the things that I do here in the class, they start showing sometimes in a subtle way, but they show in my work. So it's like, yeah, I bring the things that I do here, the experience that I have here, I bring it to the studio, but I also bring my studio here and work with the kids and the students in general.
Well, we're moving on now, to the side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on, to the side.
We finally saw this building here. It had no roof on it for 40 years. So they were offering at the Marine barracks over here to come in and dig out the bird poop.
At the time, it seemed so huge. You know, it's like, what are we going to do with all this space? It's so great. And of course, quickly filled up and became way too small.
Well, it was because the battle was going on to get the neighbors to accept CHAW.
And you know, when we got a little bit too big and we had too many parts, it was kind of sad.
Grants for organizations like the arts and for private schools just didn't exist for those period of times, and I know CHAW suffered a lot through that period.
I think the last class I had 2 kids in it.
Wow.
And I said, I'm coming all the way across town to teach children. When this used to be packed with 15, 20 in a class.
I think it had gone a little downhill, and Jeffrey and Julia really put a lot of love and effort into turning this place around.
So when I got there, after the workshop had been through, you know, a few difficult years, it was clear that we needed to sort of reinvent things a little bit. So Jeffrey and I decided we would take a if you build it, will they come aspect to it, or approach.
Taking care of the institution is as important as taking care of the arts.
We were a family of people that came together to really experience our creativity together.
It's a bunch of crazy people.
I feel like it's really family-like.
I think that this community kind of expanded the sense of community on Capitol Hill.
CHAW, to me, became probably one of the more important elements of our community and Capitol Hill. I think back now, I cannot imagine Capitol Hill without CHAW. It wouldn't have made sense. You know what I mean? CHAW was kind of like a thing that was like a glue that held a lot of things together, a lot of good things.
Over a very long dinner of borscht and red wine, and the borscht had so much garlic in it to this day, I'll never forget it. At Jeffrey Watson's house, we came up with building community through the arts.
It was one of the 3 arms of CHAW. There was the chorale, the art league, and the theater program that were all sort of autonomous, but under the CHAW umbrella.
Because Nikki also founded the art league here at the workshop.
Each group brought different people here, so like Catalyst Theater, Films on the Hill, the Art League.
And I think CHAW's always been involved in outreach of some nature or sorts, but I think that we kind of, when I was here, we kind of made a focus to really grow that program and reach out into the community more and work with some different groups.
What's different is it's a little bit more focused. When I was here, we were bouncing off the walls.
I think it's now about 2 years ago, there were a group of teaching artists at CHAW that worked to kind of do a facelift on the building and kind of paint the pillars that are on the front steps of CHAW and kind of artify it a little bit. And for me personally, that's been a huge improvement on the space and a wonderful beacon, if you will, to the neighborhood that, hey, this is a place where arts happen.
I would like to see us keep the diversity that was here. You know, the history of the Capitol Hill is that we really were a blue-collar neighborhood.
They're not full human beings unless they're immersed in some part of art.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
Yeah.
And that will be, I think, my goal for the rest of my life.
Every study that has ever been done shows that people who have the arts in their life are better in every other area of their life. They're more successful. So they're better citizens. With kids, they're better students. And yet we live in a society where arts is the first thing to get cut.
I taught in the District of Columbia Public Schools in a junior high school that had just opened. There were 47 kids per class. I had 3/4 of a cent per student per year for supplies.
How much was that? How much? We missed that.
3/4 of a cent per student per year.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was.
Wow.
It was.
So I figured whoever came before us, they were doing a really great job.
There are a lot more like outreach to not just the younger children, but the teenagers who are in high school and trying to get community service.
You know, we started, I think it was, we started throwing the plate. I don't know, maybe that was the end of the Presbyterian Church.
Frustration is part of it.
And also the understanding that that is a language that is available to all of us. We can all make art.
I think my first experience at CHAW was probably in utero.
So that's one of the best things, you know, like when you see the growth and then you actually say, oh, I guess I taught these kids something.
It's scary too.
He ended up being assigned to a guy that wanted to teach bass, double bass to kids. And he had to sit on a stool to even hold the mini bass he had, but he fell in love with both the sound and with the instructor.
And coming back as a CIT, it's kind of like full circle, you know? So I can give back to them, and then maybe a couple of them might come back and be a CIT, just keep the circle alive.
But he started out here.
The knowing what you're in for, but you'll still be surprised by it.
Because I was in the process of unleashing creativity in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what the workshop provided for me.
It does keep sort of reinventing itself.
I'm not sure CHAW went through puberty until it was 30 years old.
The computer lab downstairs, if you only knew what that space was like before what it is
But
now.
I think
and,
in all the parents, it's really excitement. You really get the sense of the next generation of Capitol Hill being here on a Saturday.
I see CHAW as like a space station. Like there's all the people getting ready to go off into the arts and to do all the different things with their lives. And I think CHAW is where everything gets prepared for that sort of stuff.
I mean, I went from church to church with my little portable record player at the time.